On August 16, 2022, Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a bill designed to lower taxes and healthcare costs in America, and what this video is specifically interested in, which is taking a stance on climate change by enhancing clean energy and other environmental solutions in the United States. So how will this bill reduce carbon emissions in the United States? And is it enough? Let's break it down. What's going on, you guys? Welcome to my channel. I'm Aman Luthra, and today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about the Inflation Reduction Act. Don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you like you're a 10-year-old. And more importantly, what this means for the future of climate change. So let's get into it. In total, this bill requires $437 billion, and about $369 billion of that is going into clean energy and other green investments. In total, these investments are expected to reduce net CO2 emissions by 40% from 2005 levels by the year 2030. That means we need to go from about 6.4 billion tons of net emissions to 3.8 billion tons. And right now in 2022, the US has already dropped to about 5 billion tons. So what exactly is the Inflation Reduction Act investing in? And is it enough? There are 5 main goals for the bill as far as climate change is concerned. 1. Lowering energy costs for Americans. What the bill is saying is that if you purchase green technologies like energy efficient appliances, electric cars, rooftop solar, and so on, then you will be able to receive tax credits on them, which will reduce upfront costs and lower your energy and utility bills. The lower your income, the more tax credits you get. So basically, if you decarbonize your home and your lifestyle, you'll be able to save money in the long term, which is a win-win. 2. It increases American energy security. Not only is the Inflation Reduction Act investing money in clean energy, but it's also investing nearly $60 billion into manufacturing the solar panels, wind turbines, and so on, right here in the US, instead of having a country like China make them and then ship it here. That $60 billion also includes tax credits to building new manufacturing facilities and helping existing facilities shift production from making gas-powered cars to making electric cars instead. These investments are meant to decrease upfront costs of producing clean energy and give the US more control of the clean energy supply chain, which would also fight inflation at the same time. 3. It decarbonizes the US economy. By investing in clean energy, the Inflation Reduction Act will reduce the emissions from almost every economic sector, including electricity production, transportation, and agriculture. This bill offers a lot of tax credits for clean energy, energy storage, and electric vehicles, as well as reducing emissions from manufacturing and minimizing the methane leaks that happen from natural gas production. There is also a good chunk of the bill that is going to be invested into nuclear power, which is non-renewable, but at least nuclear does not directly pollute the air like fossil fuels do. More importantly, boosting nuclear will help to increase resiliency when solar and wind cannot be used because of the weather. These tax credits are meant to help states and utility companies accelerate the transition towards clean energy. 4. It focuses investments on disadvantaged communities. The Inflation Reduction Act is also investing about $60 billion to address environmental justice challenges and help out communities that have low income, deal with racism, and so on. The funds are going into neighborhood safety and clean transportation, which includes electric buses and garbage trucks. There are also funds going into green technology used at ports to help cut emissions there. Some of the tax credits in the bill have bonuses when they go to disadvantaged communities. And finally, number 5, it supports resilient rural communities. To name a few of these communities, there is money being invested into farmers and forest landowners to help them reduce emissions. There is money being invested to produce more biofuels in the US, especially those that can be used in the planes that we fly in. Finally, the funds are being invested to protect coastal communities and the habitats they rely on. There's a lot of other smaller goals that the bill accomplishes, like more transmission lines, more EV chargers, reducing forest fires, and a lot more that I won't get into too much detail about. But I think you get the idea. Now, all of that sounds great in theory, but the question is it enough? Even if the bill does reduce 40% of emissions in the United States, the Inflation Reduction Act alone will not stop climate change. But with that said, it is definitely a major step in the right direction. I have said many times on this channel that the only way to fight climate change is by taking action. And in recent times, the United States has been one of those countries that continuously delays climate action for capitalistic reasons. Now that this bill has passed, I see it as a good sign that we may finally be taking the actions that we need on climate change. And yes, this bill definitely has a lot of holes, I get it. At the same time, I think this is enough evidence to show that when people like you and me take action, we can make a difference. One of the big actions that you can take is to vote for leaders who care about climate change and will take action on it. For example, I'm from Georgia, and I don't mean to be politically biased, but if we did not vote for Warnock and Ossoff in the 2020 election, I don't think this bill would have made it through the Senate. In fact, there were many points in time that this bill could have died as it was going through Congress, but there were people that you elected who fought for it and made sure that clean energy would be enhanced in the United States. Because of the Inflation Reduction Act, the United States will be going from spending nearly $20 billion a year to almost $80 billion a year on climate action. Now, the reality is, if we want to stay under 1.5 degrees Celsius and avoid the worst effects of climate change, the United States and the rest of the world is going to have to take a lot more action. Net zero by 2050 is not fast enough. Realistically, we have less than 7 years to stay under 1.5 degrees of global warming. Replacing fossil fuels with clean energy is just one challenge to overcome. We also need to help the world transition to more plant-based diets, or at the very least, cut back on the consumption of animal products. The wealthy countries in the world, like the United States, also need to move away from a consumerist culture and move towards minimalism. And most of all, in my opinion, we need to spread education opportunities around the world, especially environmental education. Even in the United States, climate change and environmental science is not a topic that is taught in school unless you actively choose to learn it. So yes, there is a very long way to go. But if we can get a bill like the Inflation Reduction Act passed, I guarantee you that we can get a lot more climate action done. Not just in Congress, but also on individual levels. What are your thoughts on the Inflation Reduction Act? Do you think that there are actions that need to be taken that were not addressed in the bill or in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. It's really up to us what the future holds. The more action we take, the better off we will all be. So take action, because nature can live without us, but we can't live without nature. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and subscribe down below. New videos are posted every Friday. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!